Hey guys, it's Tony. Welcome back to the channel, Tony Talks Cards. First off, thank you for all who shared, watched, and liked my top cards video from last week. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll put a link to that in the description of this to check that out too. Really proud of those cards, what they mean to me. It's not about what they're worth per se, but just the connection they have to me, my teams, my players, and the beauty of those cards too. So love doing that video and getting those cards out. This video is going to be about some rabbit holes I've gone down in 2025. I've shown probably half, maybe more than half of these cards already. But I wanted to kind of summarize and take stock of just the unique ways that I wouldn't have thought I would have collected as an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old or even a 28-year-old. But many of you guys, the cards you've shown, the sets you're building, the meaning behind the cards that you enjoy so much has inspired me to buy some of these cards for myself. And by and large, a lot of these cards I'm going to show you are not individually overly that expensive. They're part of sets, larger collections, larger player runs, larger issues that I may not want to buy every single card out here that looks like these cards. But these 12 or 13 I'm going to show all were special to me this year. And I'll talk about why they're special, why I went down the rabbit hole of buying these cards and maybe a few more like them that you've seen in prior videos, and maybe inspire some of you guys to look beyond those names you always hear about, right? The top names, the top players, the top teams, and dive into some of those maybe non-traditional sets, issues, sizes of cards that maybe you hadn't thought of before, because frankly, all these were inspirations to me. I was inspired to buy these cards by seeing a lot of your guys' videos. So I've loved that about YouTube and this community. Loved adding these different types of things, sizes, issues, players, sets to my collection. So I want to show those off right now. So here we go. The first one's going to be something I don't show a lot, but it's actually a really important foundational piece of my collection. I love unopened packs of cards. I love raw packs of cards like junk wax, 88 tops, 89 tops. I love that stuff. It takes me back to my card shop days, buying at Target, at Walmart, buying my LCS. But I love collecting unopened packs and boxes of unopened packs. I've got a lot of those I haven't shown. Some can be pretty pricey, some can be pretty affordable. The cards inside of them don't add up to what you end up paying for, but it's more the nostalgia and the mystery of what's inside those packs I love. So I want to show a couple of those things here. One was the new pickup in 2025. It looks like a single card, and it is, but and shout out to Jason, Everyday Card Collector, Brad's Vintage Collection, Bears fans, among others in the community. This is a Walter Payton card, showing here running against the New Orleans Saints. Well, it's a card, right? So you're talking about packs, Tony. What are you talking about? This is actually wrapped in plastic. You can see there on the edges. This was inserted into, and I believe it was, Gino's Pizza Rolls back in 1986. So this is still in its original packaging, would have come inside those frozen boxes of pizza rolls. And being a Bears fan and a Walter Payton fan, I saw this, I think on eBay, and picked this up for a few bucks. So a 1986 Gino's Pizza Rolls, Walter Payton. Again, he has plenty of cards, but how many of them came in pizza rolls? Well, I guess this one did. And just seeing this, I thought that'd be a cool thing to add to my Payton, my Bears collection, and just a very unique piece that, for me, I love it that it's still in its unopenedness, I guess. So that's Gino's Pizza Roll there. One thing I showed a while ago, and I love these types of packs too, this is an 87 Topps football pack, and it has the Kmart price sticker on it. I love seeing price stickers on packs. Shout out to Brandon at Brandon's Baseball Cards. He and I are friends, met up at the National. He and I are both pack collectors among other folks in our community. Love seeing price stickers. This was sitting in a Kmart for 33 cents in 1987. Not any big rookies in 87 Topps, but it's one of the first foundational sets I collected. I set built pack by pack, card by card, and it's great. It's so inexpensive nowadays in single card form. The packs themselves are more than the price of a few single cards, right? But the nostalgia of knowing this was sitting in a Kmart for 33 cents, that makes me happy. So that's an example of pack collecting that I do as well. Next up, we've got some serial cards. So Post, right, did Post serial football cards in the early 60s. Post had baseball cards in the early 60s too. And I picked this one up earlier this year too for not that much. This is a 1962 Post Hank Aaron. And I love that a kid or an adult cut this out. And again, it's much more accessible than a base Topps Playing Days Hank Aaron. Love the stats and the picture on the front. The back is blank. I looked at this card earlier when I bought this and I was just kind of amazed. I want to shout out something real quick. So on this card, it says Hank Aaron, as of 1961, has 253 home runs as of 1961. He would hit more than 500 more home runs after 1961. Think about that. He'd been in the league for 7-8 years, something like that. He would retire in 1975 or 76. When this card was produced, he would have 500 more home runs to hit. That's just amazing to me. And again, just love this was on the back of a cereal box, a great Hall of Famer. So that's a cereal card I picked up this year. Another type of card I picked up is one I showed before. This is a 1953 Bowman Eddie Matthews. Love that centering on the card, his second year. But I love this. Shout out to Mookie Chilson and others. I showed this earlier. This is one of those cards that has writing on the back. And a child or an adult wrote out Mr. Matthews' statistics from 1953. And amazing to see he had a .302 batting average and 47 home runs. Pretty darn good second year for Mr. Eddie Matthews. And speaking of Mr. Eddie Matthews, someone put MR up at the very top. So we'll keep this in my collection for a very, very long time. Love it's his second year card, a great, beautiful color picture there of him post swing. And someone took the time to write his stats on the back too. So checking out that category was cool for me in 2025 as well. Next up, I've talked about this maybe briefly, but I'm getting more into and trying to appreciate the cards I have and really the entire card itself. So not just the player, but who is showing in the background of cards as well that may make the story interesting of where that photo was taken of that player. An example of that is going to be this 1959 Curt Flood. And I would guess, shout out to all my St. Louis guys in the YouTube community, I'm guessing that's Stan Musial in the back. So you've got Curt Flood with Stan Musial, his number 6 in the background, a double Hall of Fame card of an early Curt Flood. I just love that. That's just an interesting multiple level layer story of this card that I didn't know existed until I looked deeper at the card. I think it's a beautiful card, that blue as well. And to have someone in the background too who's pretty famous as well is pretty neat too. So that's a type of rabbit hole I went down in 2025. Next up, you've seen these before if you watched my top cards video from last week. I've gotten into Topps Venezuelan cards. This Topps Veni card has two different things to it. One, it has a pinhole in it. Two, well, maybe three. Two, it's a Cub. Three, it's Ernie Banks. This is my 1960, I'll show the grade on this one because it is pretty poor. My 1962 Topps Venezuela, Ernie Banks in a 1. So why is it a 1? Well, it's a pretty rough looking card, but there is a pinhole right about here, give or take. And it's cool to think about, where this card was, right? Issued in Venezuela. Did the adult or the child who had this card pin it up on his wall because he liked Ernie Banks? Did he know who Ernie Banks was? I don't know. Did they get radio transmissions or TV signal to show the games? I have no clue. But thinking about where this card would have sat and been and how it was loved and probably hung on a wall is pretty cool to me. And the fact it made it all the way to me here in 2025, I'm so happy about. So it's kind of a double rabbit hole with the Topps Venis and the pinhole cards. So that's 62 Topps, Ernie Banks, Venezuela style. Next up, shout out to Stuke, Baseball Cards and Curiosities. Love seeing and learning about all the exhibit cards. I would have not known what these things were, honestly, a year or so ago. But pick this one up this year for just a couple dollars. Scott, you can correct me, I'm sure. Tell me what exact year this is from based on the bottom corner, I think, of where it says Made in the USA. But this is a Roy Campanella exhibit. His playing days cards can be pretty pricey, especially the early playing days cards. And I love that there are issues like this that you can find some of your favorite Hall of Famers for fractions of what their base Topps or Bowman cards are. So Scott, you can tell me, I'm sure, in that corner what year that's from. I can look it up myself, I think, too. I think I have a schedule of what these all mean somewhere saved in my phone. But yeah, love to have this card as well in my collection. Exhibit cards. Next up is an art card. I wouldn't have been a big fan of these, not knowing much about where they came from and being inspired by others in the YouTube community. Scott at Reindeer Studios got some shirts just the other day from him based on his Black Friday sale. I bought a set of these movie type cards. One of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, I would watch this on rerun repeat whenever it came on TV. I love having an art card of Mr. Buttermaker. Bad News Bears, love that movie. So shout out to Scott and his artwork, his art cards. There is signatures on the back. Would not have thought about this being a goal of mine or something to collect in 2025, but love watching his artwork and definitely glad I own this card right here. Another type of thing I got into, miscut cards. You're thinking miscut cards, that's not something you'd want to get, but miscut cards with a story behind them, or maybe the other card you can see because it's miscut, is the way my brain kind of works. So this is a 1948 Bowman, sorry, not Bowman, 1948 Leaf football card of Mr. Levi Jackson, an early black player, one of the first black players to appear on a football card issue. I don't believe Mr. Jackson actually played in the NFL. I think he went to Yale. He did. I think he had a successful career as a either Ford or General Motors executive after playing. But again, I showed my Kenny Washington card in an earlier video this year, but Mr. Levi Jackson, yeah, a little bit miscut up top, but love the color, love the fact that he's one of the early black players to be on cardboard. But on the back, not well cut on the top, number 5 in the set, Levi Jackson, but at the bottom, we can see that this card was just above Bobby Lane's card. Bobby Lane was a Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback for the Lions and Steelers. Looks like he was next on the printing sheet. And I think that just adds to me the curiosity of this card, the fact that, one, the color on the front, the player it depicts, and you kind of get a glimpse into the Leaf printing process when you see cards miscut like this. And oh, by the way, Bobby Lane's a Hall of Famer, so that was a cool rabbit hole to go down in 2025 as well. Next up, this is going to be a tobacco card. Actually, 2 tobacco cards are coming up. Let me show you the first one first. This is one, and one thing I'm proud of in a weird sort of way, a lot of the cards I'm showing, besides the banks and one more card I'm going to show, all these cards are raw. They're not graded. There's something about touching, feeling, picking up, looking at a raw card, its creases, its imperfections, that kind of brings it closer to home. John P. Collects did a video last week around just he called it I forget what the word he used was, but tactility, I think it was, just being able to touch and feel things and not have them be digital or encased in plastic. And this card's cool for me because it's raw. It's a T206 card. This is Harry Steinfeld. He was the third baseman in the famous Tinker to Evers to Chance infield for the Cubs. This card is well loved. It's a polar bear back, and polar bear T206s would have come with the scrap tobacco, I think, in the packs near the card. And this card definitely has some staining on it from that tobacco that would have been on it, rummaging around with it in the container. So cool to see a raw card that has evidence of that well-lived life of that tobacco on it already. And also, again, love layers, love deeper meanings on cards. Him being the third baseman, along with Tinker, Evers, Evers, or Chance for the Cubs makes it extra special for me too. So that's a cool rabbit hole to go down. Cards that retain things on them, I guess. In this case, tobacco. So next up is a tobacco-related product too. I just love the color on these things. A lot of you guys have talked about the color, the brightness of them, and I can't agree more. These are the Red Man tobacco cards. These can be had, again, much like the postcards and other cards I'm showing, for a fraction of the base Topps or Bowman card. And I picked this one up a few months ago off eBay. This is a 1952 Red Man of Monty Irvin. His rookie year is 1951. The seller had this listed as a 1954. I didn't know it wasn't a 54 until I turned around and looked at it, and you can tell by the dates on the bottom when they could be redeemed by, what year this was. And as you know, I'm doing a series on early and first black players for Major League Baseball teams. Monty Irvin's on that list. He'll be highlighted later in the year, meaning 2026, but love the crisp color, the deep color, the blue, the green, and the fact that it's a 52, the first Red Man year, his second year in the majors was really special for me as well. So love these cards too in 2025. Next up is the card I got most recently in the mail, like literally a couple days ago. There are 3 cards, I think, in the 1953 Topps set. 3 cards that have this specific fact about them. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But I love the backgrounds. I love advertising on cards. I love things that are beyond the player. And so this is a 1953 Topps card of Mr. Sid Hudson. I love the fact on this card that you've got a Topps gum. My phone may not focus as well as it should. Topps gum advertising painted in behind this card. There are 2 other cards that I know of at least that have a Topps advertising behind the player. One is a Clem Labine, I'm not sure how you say his last name, for the Dodgers. The other one is a Willie Miranda. Willie Miranda is also, I think, a higher number card, St. Louis Browns player. They both have these Topps gum advertisements behind the player. I just think that's extra cool, like Topps' second main year of producing these size of cards, and the artist on the back, artist of these cards, decided to draw in advertising for the brand itself. I think it's just such a cool, deep layer to this card that, while this card is a high number and more expensive than maybe a lower number card, I just think looking behind the player, seeing what's on that billboard, on that fence, just makes it for me a cool rabbit hole to have found out about in 2025. I want to pick up the Clem Labine and the Willie Miranda as well at some point to kind of complete that 3-card mini set I want to put together of Topps advertising in the back. So this is a really cool special pickup for me that came in the mail just a couple days ago. Speaking of advertising, I've shown this card too. I'm really, really excited about this card. This is one of the cards I showed in my 1971 Topps Action Pose series. Actually, I've shown it already. Yes, I have. And I love the fact it's a picture, a real picture of the player, of the stadium, of the advertising. And a shout out to Jim Faulkner, Brent Richards baseball cards, all you Nolan Ryan guys, and Mets guys too. 1971 Topps, Nolan Ryan with the RC Cola advertising in the background. I love you can see the entire Royal Crown name, the RC on the side there. It just makes this card like multiple special to me. Not just Ryan, not just the action pose, not just an early version of his time with the Mets, but seeing the RC Cola in the background is so cool. I worked at Arby's. I'm not sure if it's national or at least just regional to the West, roast beef sandwich chain here in Arizona. They're in the West Coast as well. But when I was there in the late 90s working as a high schooler, they served RC Cola. They didn't serve Pepsi or Coke. RC was their brand of cola. You see it around every now and then in some stores, maybe more in other parts of the world, I'm not quite sure. But having that connection to my first job and seeing RC Cola on the back of this card makes it extra special for me too. So if you ever are curious, look behind the players, look behind the cards, right? You may find something special behind the player that makes you want to collect that card and add to your collection. So that's Nolan Ryan, 71 Topps, advertising back. Two more things, I promise. Two more things. I will end with, yes, okay, here. One more thing. This is something and the oldest thing I have in my collection. It's not a player. I don't think he played baseball. I could be wrong. I don't think he played baseball. Didn't play football, I'm pretty sure. May have played soccer. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what sports he played. But it's a non-sport card. It's the oldest card I have in my collection. And I really enjoy American history and United States presidents. I believe this is from 1880. Could be 85, I'm not sure. But this is, I forget what they call these cards. But this is a, not trade card, I forget what they call them, but these cards are out there and they are cards that were clearly, they could have been or could have not been stamped, and they show pictures of the presidents up until 1885. And I think Chester Arthur was the president in 1885. And I think he is the last person shown in the set, because that's when he was president, when these things came out in the early 1880s. But this is the second president, John Adams. And you can see these are stamped with a local business, Choice Confectionery. And the back has a really cool larger stamp. Again, showing this location, the owner, the actual address in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I think this type of marking on a card, this type of stamping on a card, just literally stamps and puts a pin in it, like when this was issued. Maybe the owner of this business bought some of these cards, stamped them here, handed them out to customers, relatives, friends, other businesses. I'm not quite sure. Others may know how these were actually transacted and traded, but I love the fact this exists here 140 years later, and of our second president, John Adams. So, like I said, may not have played baseball or football, but an equally cool card for my collection. So two more things left. I'll finish this up pretty quickly. So these are very, very oversized items, but I love them. And a lot of you guys love oversized items too. This one is from 1970. I first saw this set in a video. I think it was from Gannon, JGA 59, showed his complete set of these. And I just love how big they are, the colors, the fact they were folded. They aren't perfect. I love the fact they can't, I don't think they can. They probably aren't mint because they were folded and put, I think, into packs or other types of ways to distribute them, but they have wear, they have damage because of how they were sent out and how kids opened up the cards and got these things. So correct me if I'm wrong in how these were issued. I'd love to know more about them, but this is a 1970 Topps poster, and this is of, not Bob, well, it is Bob here, but Roberto Clemente. Love how big this is. I've got some nice oversized holders from Humongous Hoard. These were wonderful. They fit right in here. Love the large picture of him. Outfield, Pittsburgh Pirates. Shout out to Rev Steve, being a Pirates fan there. Here's the back of them. You can see they were folded in a way that gave rise to 12 different unique, folded squares there. Love the wear. I mean, it's kind of cool to have a card that's not mint in your collection, right? I mean, it's cool to have a raw card, a card that's been through some stuff. I can't do much more damage to this than it's already been done, but it's not damage. It's just the way the card or the item was sent out to people. It's how it was transacted, right? So I love it's big. I love the picture on it. This was less than $5. I just love this pickup. So one more left. So if some of you followed me back in the summertime knew I found these 3 baseball gloves. In my collection, I'd bought them many, many years ago, and they were gloves from the 30s and 40s and 50s. They had players' names on them, but I never stopped to look what were the names on the insides of the glove. Took it out, looked at them real closely, and found they were 3 baseball players I had never heard of before. And one guy whose glove I had happened to pick this up at a card show 12, 13 years ago. He has a connection to my family's hometown in Georgia. So I had to buy a card or something of this guy. The problem was this guy doesn't have a lot of traditional cards. He played during the war years. He has a few cards, but I found an oversized item of him that hits a lot of different boxes. It scratches a lot of different itches for me. So last thing I'm going to show is this, I think it's 1943 There's an M designation. I forget what the M Sporting News, M something or other, but this is a very large picture of a baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds and later the Pirates, Elmer Riddle. He played, I think, from 39 to like 48, had some time off for the war, but he was born and I think then eventually passed away and lived in later in life the hometown that my dad was born in and his mom was born in. And so to have a glove I randomly picked up at a card show with his name in it and to find he had that connection to my family just was so amazing and made me smile for a while. So this is Mr. Elmer Riddle from 1943. I think these may have been issued in magazines. I'm not totally sure of my memory on the research I did back over the summer, but you can see him here in a pitching pose with the Reds, and to scratch my advertising card itch, and to further show you how it's cool to see what's behind the player, not just the player himself, you can see the advertisements. Now, I'm not sure what stadium this is, but you've got Stallmeyer Frankfurters in the back there. You've got Cole, a coal company on the back there too. I wish this was colorized for sure, but it just goes to show you, I think, the stuff that you can find behind the card, behind the photo when you look at it closely. And honestly, as an 8 or 9-year-old, I wouldn't have cared that much about this stuff. I was in it for the cards, the set collecting, and I still love cards and set collecting and set building and the checklist. I love all that stuff, right? But something I've really loved and what's really enhanced my love of cards and collecting, sport, non-sport also, is the image of the player, but also who's behind the image. You've got Stan Musial behind Curt Flood. You've got a Stallmeyer Frankfurter ad behind Mr. Elmer Riddle. You've got RC Cola, Royal Crown Cola, behind Nolan Ryan early in his career. And you've got miscut cards that show how cards were aligned on the printing presses, right? That's really cool. You've got cards that were pinned up on someone's wall. I'm not sure why. Did they like the card? Did they not? Did they know the player? There's so many deep stories within our baseball cards, football cards, non-sport cards that all of you guys I give the credit to. I've shouted out a bunch of channels on this video already. It's because of you guys and your favorite players and teams and types and things you love to collect that's made me love these things too. Now, like I said, will I go and buy every single card with an advertisement on the back of it? No. Will I buy every single miscut card, every single Venezuelan card? Of course not. But these are things I want to pick up as I see them at card shows, online, maybe from one of you guys in person, right, at a card show. It really will enhance, and I have loved how they've enhanced my joy of my collecting, what I love, and the fact you get to be able to touch these things, right? I can take it out of plastic anytime I want to look at it. I can take this card out and look at it, touch it and feel it. It's not entombed in a graded card holder. This card, amazing, the blue, the centering, and the fact you've got a Hall of Famer behind Curt Flood. I can pick this up card and look at it, touch it, feel it. So there's something to be said about raw cards, the way they were issued, and the enjoyment they can bring as well. Now, you can enjoy lots of things in the hobby, and I'm not telling you how to collect, but for me, this is a representation of what I've really enjoyed getting into and picking up at odd times in the year. We'll pick up more of them, and just want to share that as we round out 2025, going to 2026. I'll probably do a video at some point talking about my goals for 26, and certainly if I see some of these cards like I've shown you today, I may pick them up too, but I'll have more intentional goals in terms of bigger cards and players I'll talk about too if the stars all line up and the funds line up too. So anyway, I tend to be long-winded. Here we are at 29 minutes. Hopefully you made it through. Thank you all who've watched and supported. Thank you who will watch. Hope you have a great week leading up to Christmas. Have a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Merry New Year, Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you soon. See you guys. Bye.